Welcome to Public Space, a community dedicated to supporting individuals who have experienced religious trauma or find themselves in between and are looking for self-God as well as community. We exist beyond the four walls of colonized religion. Here, we create a safe and vibrant space where members can explore and share spirituality, stories, art, and intellectual inquiry through critical dialogue. Join us as we embark on a journey of healing, self-discovery, and creative expression. Together, we will foster a supportive community that empowers individuals to reclaim their voice, embrace their unique journeys, embody a Path-Maker Archetype, and find solace and strength in the company of like-minded individuals.
Greetings, Pathmakers, and welcome to Season 2. The trail is different, and what we're packing and what we're sharing this season is different as well. This season, we plan to have more engaging dialogues with individuals while off path. So enjoy the following dialogue, as it may inform you and add to your toolkit while you trek life beyond religion, especially colonized religion. See you out there. All right. Welcome. We have the privilege and honor of sitting down with author Prashanti to explore the subtle power of paradox and the Taoist teachings that shape her debut book, Embracing Paradox. So, without further ado, how are you? Tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about this amazing book, please.
Hey, Aaron, it's an honor and a pleasure to be here. I'm very excited for what I'm going to learn from this whole process of having this really heart to heart, authentic conversation with you. I'm ready to jump right in. I'm like, okay, maybe I shouldn't, maybe I should like hold a little bit. I'm like, I'm fighting it right now, but I think I'm going to go all in and just, start talking about how this beautiful process of unfolding happened for me as I embrace the paradoxes in Tao Te Ching. I was at a really terrible crossroads in my life, and great things happen at the crossroads, right? Amazing things blossom during that time of what do you call the downtime. You can't always be high on life. There has to be a certain downtime. And during that downtime, I don't know, it just happened. I've never known about Taoism. I've heard of, I've grew up in an environment where everyone encouraged um, the the acceptance of all religions. So I grew up in India, predominantly Hindu, but my parents and my grandparents follow the guru Sri Satya Sai Baba, and he embraced all religions. His symbol was basically all religions, like you have Christianity, Islam, and other religions that are just those 5 or 6 religions that everyone know, like Jew, like. And so he embraced all of those religions and very engaged. I played a role of Jesus in a play. Like I've done that, and I've played a role of a Muslim devotee. So I've seen all kinds of religion, and I understand they all are one. The source is one. There's just one source. And at that point, Tao was shown to me as that is the source. Because when someone puts a figure to God, I would question that. I would I'd be like, why does God look like us? Does he have to have all kinds of ailments and suffering that we went through? Like humanizing God was really like an awful thing that I thought was. And then when my family was following this guru, I'm like, how can you consider this person as a god? That's just, it doesn't. So there's a lot of those unfoldings. It was like a peeling off, I should say lotus petals, actually, not like onions, you know, make it sweeter. So it was like unfolding of those lotus petals, one by one, and all of that shadow work that happened during that process of writing the Embracing Paradox. So when I first wanted to do the translation of Tao Te Ching, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna like translate it. I'm not gonna write anything. I'm just gonna translate those 81 verses. That's all I was gonna do. And that's how I was prepared to go that route. And as I read through these various translations of so many folks, so many others who have been philosophers, and Alan Watts's lot of his discussions on his take on Tao Te Ching, all of that really kind of drew me to go much deeper and write a lot more, like going to the paradoxes. So what I found in these verses were mostly paradoxes. Everything is about paradox in Tao Te Ching, and in Lao Tzu speaks in paradoxes. So I was intrigued by that. Like I didn't even know what the word paradox meant before. Like I didn't even. Yeah, I was so far away. I was so far off, and yeah, I was kind of drawn into that and understanding what the paradoxes meant and kind of paradoxes that I experienced in my own life. So all of that is that book. So it's a very heavy book. Honestly, it's a very heavy. There's a lot of heaviness in that book, meaning that when you read it, you would have to be in a certain space. You just can't read it like while you're driving, or while someone's driving. You just don't. There's got to be a space. It's got to be like a spiritual, like a ritual to really to read that book. And for me, writing the book was like that. And I've been reading that book again and again too. So it really was a very mind blowing experience for me to write about this.
Incredible, incredible. Thank you for sharing. While you were talking, the most immediate question that came to my mind that I think our audience and listeners would resonate with is was there ever a moment in your life when paradox stopped feeling confusing and began to feel instructive or even intuitive?
All the time, even right now. I'm in the process. Like I don't understand. Like the first words of Tao Te Ching states that you cannot define Tao. You just can't define. And my mind always goes there. I want to figure out, what is this all about? What is this consciousness about? What is Brahman about? What is Tao about? I want to figure it out, because that deep longing is in, and I could feel it. And that's what is leading me to all the search that I've been doing all my life, like even writing the book, going through the shadow process. It really is to understand what this consciousness is all about. It's understanding, like, how is that consciousness within you? How is that working within you? How could you identify that and relate to that higher consciousness? How do you connect to that? So that's that whole the process that we all are searching, right? The ones of so-called spiritual folks, like that's all we do. We want to search. We're in search for that consciousness, and I found out was that consciousness, and I wrote about it, but probably not. I don't know. I just don't know. And I'm okay with it. I'm coming in terms with that. I'm like, I'm okay not knowing what Tao is really. I'm okay not knowing what Brahman, what universe, what conscious, whatever God, whatever name you call. I'm okay not knowing. It's okay. It's fine. I am I'm just gonna accept it. That's the process that I'm right now going through, and I'm like, I'm just giving up. This is it. So I don't know if that
That's
helps.
powerful. No, yeah, that's powerful. Yeah, as you say that, right? What you're talking about, it resists fixed definitions, right? So
Exactly.
how does this way of thinking reshape your relationship to certainty, control, and meaning?
That's a very interesting question. And I'm actually exactly in that state right now. I'm figuring those out. I'm trying to figure out, okay, if I let go of my control, like surrender. My guru says surrender, just surrender. Like, where do I put that stop? Where do I like hold that control? Say, for instance, if I don't ask my daughter to eat every every 5 minutes, or she has a dinner table, if she's looking at the phones, and I have to say at some point, Ava, can you stop doing that? So it's like, should I just let go and let her find the path and let her figure all of this out? So when it comes to parenting, that's where I also struggle because you don't want to be blamed. Like people do call people bad parents or bad parenting. That's still there. It's there. And that's a fear of judgment in me that I need to work on. And I'm like, I should be okay with it. So what? I don't want to control her. Let her do her thing. If she's eating, she eats. If she doesn't, she doesn't. It's her destiny. And what will happen. And I have to let that fear of judgment go and be that person that I truly and authentically want to be. Make that space for myself. And it's a process. I'm not there. I'm learning. I think we all are learning as we are talking and as whoever's listening to. I'm pretty sure we all are in this together and we're learning how to process all of this. So I guess we could help each other out, have open conversations in forums like this. And that's why, Aaron, what you do is amazing. Bring people like me and others to come outside and talk and be heard. Otherwise, I'm going to be in my home. My book's just going to be there in Amazon. I'm it's just going to be there. I mean, and what's the point? People that have some information that can be helpful for other folks and who genuinely want to share, we should be able to share in platforms like this. And thank you. Thanks for that. It's an honor.
It's our honor and privilege. Thank you. Thank you. And this is such an enriching dialogue, conversation. It's not your typical everyday kind of conversation. We're talking about dense things, complicated things, if we may add, that are spiritual, right? And spirituality
Right.
does not have a set, fixed definition itself. Like you're mentioning, you were brought up in a multi-faith kind of perspective of life, which is beautiful. And what a privilege and honor that was and is, to see the beauty in all the tongues of how to try to describe the divine, right? We're all trying to describe the great divine, the most sacred things. And so just to make your life about that is a beautiful thing, but it is a struggle. You're right. We're not going to be on the top of the shelf selling out, 9 million books or something like that. Like, because people don't really connect to this unless they are at that point in their life or journey, in layman's
Right.
terms, when they're ready, right? Like you're saying with your interactions with your daughter, which is revolutionary yet beautiful parenting, right? It's like, well, she is a person too. She's a
Exactly.
whole energy too. Like,
Right.
she has to learn some way, right? She has to learn consequences for her choices or consequences of no action, right? Even
Right.
Wu Wei speaks of no
Exactly.
action, right? There's
Yep.
consequences.
Yep.
So, these are beautiful things and everyday practical ways you're explaining it. I had another question, if you don't mind.
Of course.
How does paradox move from philosophical insight into something lived in the body, like a breath or daily decision making? Could you explain that, or maybe a piece from your book could help with that?
Right. So we are living paradoxes ourselves and we haven't labeled it. And again, labeling things is another something I would to hate. I hate to use the word hate. I'm sorry I used it, but honestly, it's the labeling is the worst thing that we could do to ourselves. So Taoism is all about non-labeling, like pull those labels out. Just take it out and chuck them. You don't need to. So embodying that paradox in everyday lives, it's that's that's a question in itself that we need to because everything is a paradox. There's every situation that we face is a paradox. So for instance, I wake up every day in the morning, I go right to work. I have a full-time job that I do. So I go right to work and I start talking to my team and I'm having a conversation with the team and we're just we're just in the midst of it. And I'm constantly deciding about how much information should I say, what should I talk and a lot of those discussions also happen in your head. So it's kind of I'm living that paradox. Tao talks about honestly, the answer is being authentic to yourself. Don't care about labeling them as good or bad or staying in the middle. Just be yourself. That's all that matters. Whatever you think is the right thing to do in that moment, do it. Don't care if it's a right thing, don't care if it's a wrong thing. And that's what karma yoga talks about. Karma yoga, you probably heard about karma yoga. Uh, karma. So what they say is you perform your action, but don't worry about the results. Only when you worry about the results, you start labeling things. So when you stop labeling things, you're just being yourself. You do what is the right thing. If talking about my daughter was the right thing, I just did it. I did not plan on it. It just came to me. So it's you just be the authentic self and don't worry about what backlash you're going to receive later on, you know, for saying something like that on a forum. So it's just being that authentic self. I think that's what it's all about. And that's what life is all about, is being the authentic version of yourself and not worry about what the consequences are, or if I would be loved or hated for what I said, or about anything else that exists outside of being your authentic self. So to me, that's the biggest paradox ever is to navigate through these and make it through without even having that desire to know all. Like, how do you let that go? Like, I want to know. I want to get. I want. That's the whole reason why I'm constantly on the path of seeking. I'm seeking. I'm always a seeker. I think at some point that has to end. The seeker has to stop seeking and be the witness to the happenings. Just be the witness. You're not the seeker. You're just a witness. And the next stage will be that witness will drop. There will be no witness to see. There's nothing to see. You're just there. And that's the state that I guess we all are trying to get to, is to be there.
Yeah, definitely. In our own ways, right? We're all trying to reach
Yeah.
that point. You're right. What you said was so beautiful. It really struck this visual in my head, and it really was just like a moment. You're right. If things just play its natural state, life would be more balanced, right? Like, God forbid the trees decided to stop being trees, or God forbid the sun stopped being the sun, and decided to do something else. Like, without that, it creates a lot of chaos and instability. But when you think about it, if more things were more authentic, then there's some sort of cosmic design that is very natural to us.
Yep.
And we are all created, in any time, at any given time, anywhere in space, that, we're for a reason, right? We live
Right.
through
Right.
reason and meaning, right? We embody that. So, yeah, what you said was just so powerful. Like, yeah, it's so true. Like, what if these critical things stop being authentic? Would we then see the bigger picture? Like, we too ourselves have to
Right.
stop doing this because we're kind of messing up the grand design, right? Like, this cosmic flow, like we're going against the current, so to
Yep.
speak.
Exactly. Loads of talks about that in Tao Te Ching too. He talks about, my gosh, you actually you brought in a really good point. So he talks about how Tao takes care of everything, the universe, the solar systems. I mean, we're like a speck in that solar system, like not even a speck of a speck of a speck, right? We're so tiny and in the grand scheme of the universe. And when Tao is taking care of all of that in perfect harmony. I mean, that's just perfection everywhere in the universe. We're trying to figure out, we can't even make it to Mars. I mean, we're still like, stuck at moon. So we haven't even crossed that threshold. So we're like so tiny and minuscule, and we're like trying to figure out the grand scheme of the master Tao, like of all the universe. I mean, like, isn't that lame? I mean, at some point, that's where we have to give up. Like, I surrender, and we know this, right? We all know we need to surrender, but to get there is really hard, and that's what we all are trying collectively to let go and let Tao take over, or let that consciousness that's doing all that magic outside of what we see just take care of us, like those tiny little emotions that we feel. Just let it go. Just surrender that to whatever you believe in. So that's the point. But again, it's very hard to get there. We all are trying. We're really trying hard. But at some point, I think awareness is the biggest thing, because we have no control of when we would get to that state of surrender. But we're being aware of this within us. And that awareness is the most important aspect here. And that's all we need to care about at this point in our journey. And that's also part of surrendering, right? You surrender and you just go with the flow. And that's the very popular quote from Tao Te Ching, go with the flow. So yeah, that's the goal. We have to go with the flow, just surrender every single moment. We need to remember in each moment of this life that surrender is the only way out. It's the only way, that's the proven way. The gurus and the gods or the scriptures that are said so far, that the truth is this, that there's only that one consciousness. And our goal is to realize that consciousness. So we know what the end goal is. It's just getting there, and that can be done through surrender, is what they've said. What my guru says as well. Just surrender that he's got it. He's got it. So
Yeah,
we need to get there.
that's powerful. That's powerful. It's interesting. Me myself, over the years, I've become a student of multi-faith and embracing and educating myself, spreading my awareness, increasing my awareness about the different ways humans on this earth have formulated ideas and art and theological perspectives of how God has engaged with us, humanity, on different parts of the earth, right? And a lot of that has to do with our location, right? That has affected how we view and perceive the great divine. So it's just so interesting too. You brought up awareness. It seems like the surrendering is not full surrender, but it's enough for us to be aware of our awareness. And awareness is not that wide of angle, right? It's awareness of our path, our view,
Yep,
our authentic purpose, right? So it's really not
exactly.
encapsulating everything. You're not meant to know everything,
Right,
but you're meant
right.
to know enough for your own path to help you get from wherever you are to where you're going. And I think that is very important, especially during this time and age. People need to try to start understanding that, minding your own business doesn't mean you ignore people, but it means, you're focused on what you got
Yep,
to do, and you're not
yep,
comparing. You're not trying to be like somebody else. You're trying to
yep.
just be you, right?
Oh my goodness, I could relate to that, Aaron. I'm so glad you brought this up, because I'm exactly like that. I'm like, I'm just here sitting here minding my own business, because what happens is, what I've seen happen to me in the past is, when you get involved in people's life, you just get caught up in their web of stuff. And then both our webs intertangle and tingle, and it just gets very messy. Like, that energy gets so messy. So we have to stay away. I mean, for our own sake, for their sake, we're honoring the God in them as well, the divine in them, the Tao in them as well. So the best thing that you could do is step away from the drama. When the drama happens, it's not selfish. I'm telling you, it's not selfish. We need to stay, because our energy could impact their energy, and it could get really messy. So it's better to stay in our own. So be in isolation as much as possible, because that's when you really get to self reflect. And when you just get caught up in other people's drama, it's just a lot of density it adds to. It just makes that surrender very difficult. It just makes it very difficult, because there's so many other people and characters, and and their relationship dynamics that all play, and they just take away so much space from your head, that drama, that you can't focus on what really matters, and then you get caught up in the density of people and relationships. So that is something that I recently, not recently, but it's been a process, right? It's been a process. So I figured out that this is the way my life is gonna be, and this is how who I am. I really don't need a lot of people, but I do love people. When I see them, I'm 100%. I'm there. I'm present for them. They are my world when I talk to them, but I'm not gonna be like behind your business. I'm not gonna know things I don't wanna know, because I just wanna love you the way you are. I don't wanna know the drama, because I wanna try and see that God in you. That's all I wanna see. When you add the drama, you get distracted. God's not supposed to behave this way. If God is in you, why are you doing this? A lot of these judgments and questions, and you just get caught up in that drama. So just step out of it and make people aware that, yeah, you love them. You love them. You really love everyone. That's who we are. Unfortunately, we just don't want to be in that mess. But I love you. So that that matters.
Yes, we love you too. This is amazing. You make me think of Jungian psychology when he's talking about the shadow and the archetypes. And it's interesting how, these things are similar, and how when you say surrender, we think of the ego, the human ego, where, Jung would describe it, something that tries to protect you at all times, right? But we don't understand the extent our ego is willing to go to protect what we think is the self, like our identity, who we think we are. And this is a very powerful, invisible mechanism in our mind, right? It's not like we can turn it on or off. It's just instinctual, right? But like you're saying, isolation and many other practices that we've spoken about on this podcast that help us strengthen our spirituality and who
Mhm.
we are and ground us. These things help us kind of come into relationship with that ego and say, you're not wrong, but I think you need to tone it down. You know, I think that you're not in control. I think I'm in control. Like you're an aspect of me. Like when we're talking about trying to control oneself and the different aspects of ourselves, you mentioned shadow work.
Yep. Yeah.
Maybe you can share a little, if it's not too much, about, your adventures into
Oh,
shadow work
wow.
and how
Okay.
that's affected you.
Yep. Okay. And that's what the book's all about. I have 81 of those instances in the book. It's basically the work that I went through with each of the words. So, okay, I touched on this at the beginning, when you asked me about the embracing paradoxes and how I came about this book. So when I started, I just wanted to like do the translation, and then I read all kinds of translations, and then I processed and I came up with my own version. But for me to come up with my own translation, I had to go through a process. I had to sit with it. I had to sit with each of the words and understand. Sitting with paradoxes, my goodness, it does number on your head. It really does. It transforms you when you sit with the paradoxes, because you're meant to sit with the paradoxes, because that's the whole point. You have to stop labeling, and you have to start sitting with both can exist. Good and bad has to exist. They have to exist. And the only way that you can accept this is by being your authentic self. When you stop, because you need bad as much as you need good. Because I used to think, I'm doing all these good things, I'm going to add up all this good karma in my life. No, that's not how this universe works. It doesn't matter if it's good or bad. And that's again, Tao Te Ching, Lao Tzu says that when it pours on everyone. The Tao doesn't differentiate between good person and a bad person. A bad person gets the rain, and a good person. The martyr gets the rain, and a saint gets the rain too. The same rain. It doesn't differentiate. So it just doesn't matter what it is. It's all about labeling and calling things, and Just give up on that. That's what Taoism is all about. Just give up on labeling. You don't want to exist in that reality. We have to raise above that and be your authentic self, because you're not born to be someone else. I'm not born to be a goddess or a queen or someone. I am myself, and I am making this queen and goddess of myself, and that's what this journey of us is all about. Is we know we are all gods, we just know, but then we're not, because we have all these other stuff that's going on. We're not there. So but to get there, the only way is to be your authentic self. Just be yourself. You can't label things. It doesn't matter if you're a good person or a bad person, you're doing a good thing or a bad, it just doesn't matter. You just have to be as authentic as you could in any given situation. That's all that matters.
Yeah, that's powerful. Thank you so much. You speak with such conviction.
Sorry.
It's very moving. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank
Your
you.
work speaks to people who feel caught between belief systems, or identities. What do you hope Embracing Paradox offers them? The book, like, what do you hope it really offers the everyday practical person? You know what I mean? If there's one thing.
Right. So, what do we mean by everyday practical person? Like who is
Let's say someone who works 9 to 5,
like me. I
like
I work 9 to 5 too.
right.
So,
And they're just maybe trying to get ahead, but it just seems like life is
yeah,
keeping us in the same spot, right? How
yeah,
can
yeah,
this book
yeah,
be something that helps us move forward?
yeah, yeah, definitely. So, the base spirituality is not something that you do. So you practice during certain hours in a day. It's not like when I go and help somebody, that means I'm doing spirituality. Spirituality has to be from the time you wake up, from the time to go to bed. The spirituality has to be part of you. It has to be interwoven into your life. It just has to be the so whatever you do, it doesn't matter if you're a business person or you're the 95 person. Because I work in a very average 9 to 5 job. So I'm a project program manager. So I manage a project. I manage my project. So that's my job, my day job, and I practice spirituality as a part of my day job. So when I meet my team, when I meet other people, I do see God in them. I'm not there to like I am of course I'm there to give my best, to do my best at my job and be as authentic as I could and help people. So that's where my work ends there. I'm being my authentic self, and whatever happens, I don't care. I get promoted. I don't care. I'm getting paid enough to sustain a family, so I'm happy with whatever is. So I'm content. I'm just, I'm there in that zone where I'm okay. I'm okay doing the 9 to 5 job because I've made that as my spiritual endeavor. I do my work. I don't expect anything in return. Keep doing your best. Just show up as the best version of yourself, the most authentic version of yourself every single day. And that's all you need to do. And be it a banker, when you go when you're sitting there, make sure that you put on that smile and be that authentic true version of yourself. Or it doesn't matter who you are. Construction workers, same. Everyone, and just follow. Be the authentic version of yourself. Try to be as true and to yourself. That's all that matters.
Yeah, you're right. And that is the challenge, right? Because in the backdrop, and I found this in my own life, in my own walk, the clash between spirituality, philosophy, and, the physical system we're in, right? We live here in America, and it has its own systems, and they're not perfect. And a lot of people would argue they're pretty broken right now. But the point here is, like, we can't live outside of systems. We ourselves are
Mhm.
systems, right? It's all about trying to just get a hint, a little bit more awareness as to how can we exist in this system, as broken as it is, and we not emulate that brokenness as much. You know what I mean? You feel me?
Yep, yep, yep.
And it's hard. It's very hard. It's very difficult. You know, we all have our different levels of privileges because of life's events, right? But
Right, right.
there's a lot of people right now, most times, suffering. They don't, this world is
Mm-hmm.
filled with a lot of people that just don't have or have enough, you know? I mean, me personally, I feel, you know, with whatever I've achieved and accumulated at this point in my life, you know, it's an honor and an obligation to give back in whatever way possible through gifts or skills or, you know, a podcast or something. But the point here is like there's many ways into finding that balance in our life. We don't all have to always do it literally the same way. The beautiful thing about the Tao is, you know, it doesn't repeat twice, right? Like it's so unique to everything. It's so relative to everything. Like it's that powerful. You can't deny that it is the very matrix that we are in, and we breathe it, you know, and exhale it, you know, all the time. Energy, right? Energy.
Right, right.
So thank you for this. Did you have any final closing thoughts, ideas, anything you want to say to our audience and listeners to help them through these troubling times?
Yeah, definitely. So I want to throw a little bit of background about how Lao Tzu, how he wrote this book. And I have a little story that I just imagined, or I think it just came to me like in a dream. How did Lao Tzu write this book? Like how why am I writing that book? Like why am I like wandering on his book? A lot of because I didn't know about Taoism until that night. It was a couple of years ago. Literally a couple of years ago. While I was in the DC on a business trip. I got so sick I couldn't pull myself out of the bed to go to a doctor and I had to get some help and I was at that crossroads when Taoism came to me and um, I was at the lowest of my life, and that's when Taoism came to me. So that lowest in lives much needed, are much needed in this grand scheme of things, because for the goodness to exist, the bad must also exist. Because it has to exist. It's all part of the yin and yang is all about that, right? That balance. So it's okay. It's there, the worst things are happening, and just understand that it's happening for a reason, because something great's going to come out of it, and that's the only reason that could ever be. So just relish in that joy that something amazing is going to happen to us, because we're going through this downtime. This downtime is as important as your uptime. You need to come in terms with that, and that's where acceptance plays a big role. Accept it. Everything that's going on, everything's going nuts. It's fine. It's okay. You know, this has to happen for something good to happen. So I'm just gonna accept it. So you know, that's how I processed that the whole. And I was on news channels 24/7. They always were running. So 4 years ago, I think I went through that process where I just wanted to know. I was hyper vigilant and I wanted to know everything that's going on in news. And I had to pull myself out. I had to go through this peeling process where I understood that through writing this book, obviously, as well, that for that to exist, this needs to exist too. So it's okay. I'm just going to accept it. And I pulled myself out of all of that. I don't know anything that's going on because I don't want to know. Like I said at the beginning, I don't want that to intermingle with the drama that, that's going on, because the more people that you add, that includes movies, that includes the shows that we watch, that includes all the media that we watch. You're pulling their lives into your lives. Like, how many of us are crazy about the lives of movie stars? Like, why? Like, they're playing a role. That's their role that they're playing. Why are we crazy about movie stars? It's that fan following. People are crazy. They just want to add more drama in their life. They want to know about the movie stars, their father, their mother, their wife, the person. Why? Because everyone loves a good drama, so they can be distracted from what really matters. There is so much in this world so much that we need to know. As very Ramtim, my guru says this all the time, an honor to be born as a human. It is truly, truly an honor. It's a blessing. It's a gift. It's the best gift that anyone could ever receive is this lifetime. It's a prize. It's about you doctors can save lives, but I don't think they can bring back life. They can't. Nobody can. We can't even try to figure out afterlife before we know nothing about all of that. There's so much that we don't know about. There's a lot more that we need to learn and process. Anyway, so the point is that it doesn't matter. Honestly, just be true to yourself and accept the fact that there is gonna be, the light soon, very soon, and I'm very excited about next year, actually. I've been hearing that it's a year of a fire horse? Fire horse? Yeah, fire horse, and so we're just, finishing the year of snake, and that's why it was truly a year of snake for me. I went through layers of shedding. That process was just going through, yeah, sitting with the verses of the book really was very transformative for me, as a someone living in this era and experiencing all of this and being the average Joe, average, what's a female version of that? Average, this, yeah, there's this help, yeah. Anyway, I'm like that. I'm a very average person. So yeah, I did my studies and I was a very studious child. All I did was study. I didn't have had no fun. So I'm basically a very average next door girl next door. And I went through a spiritual process just going through this book and I'm like you. So I'm not someone who's got anything. Of course, my guru in my life was the biggest honor, and he's been really guiding me. I've been holding on to his little toe, and he's been taking me places. That's how I see it. So yeah, it's been that long healing process. And everybody can be that. You can embody that. You can weave the spirituality into your daily lives. It's not something that only people that do not have jobs or artists or the creative folks. No, it doesn't matter. You could be a politician and still follow Tao. And Tao Te Ching was actually written for the kings. At the Lao Tzu wrote this for the administrators in the country. So it doesn't matter. Everybody can practice. A child can practice Tao Te Ching. An old person can. It doesn't matter. Age doesn't matter. And that's what I loved about Tao and how they don't have idol worship or they don't worship a human form of a god. It's all about the Tao, that unknown, because it truly is unknown. All this is because we're trying to figure out what that is, but seriously, it's unknown. We can't. With our little tiny brains, we can't. So we have to let it go. We have to just surrender to all of this beauty that's going on and just watch it. Just be that just looks at the glory of whatever God you believe in or Tao you believe in. You just bask in that glory, and that's all this earth is for. You don't try to figure it out and make a mess. So you wanna you wanna stay as far as so. I mean that's basically my learning. So I'm just pouring it all out here. So that's what my process and what I learned from going through this book was. And if it resonates with any one of you, please. So reach out. I mean you can I think there's a link to my book on the Amazon. So if you're more interested, we'll definitely check it out. I hope it interests you.
Yes, definitely, definitely. A link will be in the description. We kind of got a pirate copy last minute, but we definitely will be buying off of Amazon to support you. Thank you so much for your time and your wisdom and just your spirit and energy. It's so beautiful. Being that you're an average person, you are a beautiful being, and we honor you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Aaron. It was a true honor for me to be here. Thank you.
Thinking about starting a podcast but don't know where to begin? Do you want to improve the quality of your podcast? Struggling with podcast editing and post-production? Want to enhance your podcast's storytelling? Ready to take your podcast to the next level? Discover how Lost Raven Studios podcast consulting can walk with you. Visit our website and schedule a free consultation.